Good morning. Welcome to morning Maocha. If you guys are just tuning in, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some fun tea together. Looks like Xiaxio is already here. He's in the chat. New stream. Who dis? What's up, man? How you doing? Give me a sec here to share this out in a couple places because I haven't had a chance to do that yet. Tell me about your weekend. What do you guys get up to? Join us for tea live right now with Bangwei Old Tree. All right, one more. Yeah. Let me see. I think I've got everything all set up here. I'm gonna start. Got some stuff left over from a tea session yesterday. Just a couple cups, but they're washed. They're ready to go. Scovson, what's going on, man? How are you? Thank you for joining the live stream. What are you drinking today? If your music is too loud, let me know. Let's see. We've got some. Hold on one sec. Let me do one more post here. Maybe two more posts. Check this out. Bam! Look at this. This is good stuff. Xiaxio's decided to drop his Calculus 4 class. Uh-oh, man, what are you going to do? You're still going to be able to graduate? Are you still on track for your 7-year degree? Look at that. That's gorgeous stuff. Old tree material from Bangwei. Don't have a whole lot of this left. Maybe just 20, 30 grams or something. Let's see. Join us for live tea right now. Get that posted. Might do one little Instagram post and then we're going to be good to go. But I can do that in a sec. Scovson recently got the tea from the Chinese storage. Got the try the 2712. Oh, nice. You got the 2007 Changtai Chocha. Yeah, no, that's the Menghai Tuo. That's really good stuff, man. It's really nice stuff, especially for the price. Whew! All right, you guys, I can do this. It's just morning. It's funny, you guys are all in different time zones, so you guys probably been up for a while. I've actually been up for a little bit as well. Now that I've got a kid going to preschool and stuff, got to get up early in the morning. Gary, have fun at gym. Gary's going to his gymnastics class. I'll see you later, buddy. I'll have some tea for you when you get back. Okay? All right, see you guys. Drive safe. All right. Yeah, the trick with Maocha and teapots is it just takes a little bit of work. But look at this. Look at these nice, gorgeous leaves. Speaking of nice leaves, check out this thing from this session yesterday. Giant leaves in here. This is some Bulong area material, but look at this. Bulong's a big area. It's like saying your tea comes from Washington State or something. It's just a big area. Nice, gorgeous, big, full leaves. Look at the size of this guy. It's a pretty big leaf. I mean, there's bigger leaves, but yeah, look at that. That is definitely on the larger side of leaves. Some varietals are smaller than others. It's interesting to see how different areas, different places have some different size leaves. There we go. Get all the stuff in there. Good afternoon, Lucificus. Good morning, good evening, depending on where you are. We usually get a decent number of people tuning in for these from Europe or the Middle East. So if you guys are tuning in from remote places, give a shout out to your country of origin. It's kind of fun to see where everybody comes from. So, of course, you guys know I'm from the Pacific Northwest, northwest portion of America, up here next to the Pacific Ocean. South of Canada, north of Oregon, Seattle area. I like it here. I like it here a lot. It's really nice. Tell you what, let me get one more little Instagram post out there. See if we can get a couple more people into the chat here. While this is getting ready to go, you guys can tell me about your your weekend. Let's see. There we go. Finally managed to get it all in there. Look at that. Pretty good. So this is pretty funny. I'll give you a little anecdote, some fun I've been having with YouTube regarding this channel. It's for some reason, Morning Maocha YouTube just thinks it's adult content. Boom. So I'll probably get flagged after this, and it's just Morning Maocha. Of all the streams we do, Morning Maocha always gets flagged as being, you know, like, oh, unsuitable for monetization, or you know, not kid-friendly content for whatever reason. So I try to make these shows family friendly, but YouTube's auto moderation system does not like Morning Maocha for whatever reason. If anybody can help me figure that out, that'd be awesome. Join us for Morning Maocha right now. Put a little heart. We're set. Join us for Morning Maocha right now. Oh shoot, then I gotta specify live on YouTube. Otherwise, people sit there and wait on Instagram. Live on our YouTube channel. Good, good. We got it. It's good now. Okay. But I do have to put a timestamp since these things are up for 24 hours. If somebody messages me like 5 hours from now, like, where is it? There we go. And good. Okay. All right, guys. I can settle. I can concentrate. Yeah, for whatever reason, Morning Maocha, YouTube, like every single time, just Morning Maocha, like half an hour after I finish this, Morning Maocha will get like flagged and demonetized, and YouTube will be like, whoa there, our advertisers don't like sponsoring content like yours. Go back and forth with them. If you can actually get a hold of somebody from support, eventually they'll be like, wow, you know, we can't divulge why our things do that. And then they're just like, hey, but you got to follow the community guidelines. That's great. I'm following the community guidelines. Just let me know which one I'm breaking and I'll fix it. And they're like, well, have you tried following the community guidelines? Yes, I have followed the community guidelines. Which one am I breaking? And they'll literally never tell you. They'll be like, well, you know, your content is just inappropriate. It's in violation of the community guidelines. Great. Which guideline did I break? The guidelines. It's so dumb. It's Kafka-esque. It's not even Kafka-esque. It's just pure Kafka. It's just weird. Yeah, so that's something fun. Trying to actually work with support to be like, you know, by the way, it's actually not in violation. They're like, well, clearly it's in violation because, you know, you wouldn't have gotten that flag if you weren't in violation. So the fact that you got flagged means that you're in violation of the community guidelines. It's like, okay. So going back and forth with support on that. So usually if I just flag it for a review, some human comes in and goes, okay, clearly our computer system doesn't know what it's talking about. You're now clear. But then for a while, it actually like specifically started flagging it as like adult content. So you actually couldn't even watch like a Morning Maocha recorded stream if you hadn't actually like signed in. You actually had to sign in, prove that you were above 18 so that you could like watch it. And then they actually like peer reviewed it, and not peer reviewed, but they reviewed it internally. And then they're like, yeah, it's definitely adult content. And I'm like, what about it is adult content? Like I don't even say any bad words on it. Like I hadn't even. It's just so funny. And then eventually, after like multiple human reviews, they were like, oh yeah, well apparently we made a mistake. So whatever. It must have something to do with the name of it, like morning or Maocha. Is Maocha? I don't know. Somebody help me figure out. See if Maocha is like a bad word in some foreign language. Ooh, that smells really nice. I mean, it just wouldn't sound right to say like morning loose leaf tea, right? Maybe I should just call it morning Maocha and just make it all about cats. Well, the tea business can definitely be shady, but there's plenty of businesses that are shady that aren't getting flagged as adult content. It's just me, just sitting down, drinking tea with some people. I had the same thing on Facebook when we try to do like Facebook ads and things like that. Constantly getting our like ads like pulled. I actually haven't done any ads, but even just if you have to have like an ad account set up now just to use like Instagram. So if I want to like tag a product on Instagram, it's got to go through Facebook from Shopify, and Facebook's like, whoa, like clearly, you know, you're not allowed to sell medical devices on Facebook. And I'm like, it's just tea. It's just tea. I'm like constantly having to like, just so that I can actually like tag a product on Instagram. So stupid. Okay, this is gonna be nice. Bangwei. Yeah, what can I say? What can I say about Bangwei? Bangwei is an interesting place. I've had a lot of really nice material from Bangwei. It doesn't have as big of a name in the pu'er biz. Some of the other mountains are a little bit more popular, but Bangwei is old school. One of the oldest tea trees in the world is in Bangwei, and that's massive. There's a picture of it. Like it's just giant. It's as tall as like some like 100-year oak tree. Just a giant, massive tree. They pick it like once a year. It gets its own like special like water supply. They've got fences around it and giant like security cameras and stuff. It's a massive, truly massive tree. Every person who lives in that village gets a small portion of what was picked from that tree. Something like that. It's a fairly small place. Unfortunately, they kind of there's some of these old villages that I don't know, they took some wrong advice or had some bad ideas about how to. I mean, you can't really blame them. It's like some of these smaller villages that don't have necessarily like the big name of like Yiwu or Labanjiang or something like that. They really want they feel a little envious of like the big money and fame that the other places are making, and so they do whatever they can to kind of like build their name, and so they want to make it easier on themselves to do the processing, so they just start building their homes like in the old tea gardens, and they have to chop down trees to do that. It's just it's like you're killing the goose that laid the golden egg. And Bangwei is one of the towns that kind of had that same thing. So the town Bangwei is actually like literally inside of like their old growth tea garden, and the town was really not built that well. It's steep. It's like on the side of a hill, and so just like little tiny like narrow like streets and alleys, and you're just driving up and down, just a concrete chunk just dropped into this old tea growth garden. And of course the trees that are still there just don't really do very good, because it's hard to do good in an environment like that. So it's a little sad to see that, but they got to do what they got to do. In general, Bangwei material is a little bit it's a little bit lighter. They've got some interesting stuff there. They've got like newer growth stuff. They've got old tree material. They've got big tree material. Small tree. They do some ecological things as well. Usually they're like this is old tree material from Bangwei. It's pretty nice. It's not super fancy, I guess, on the scale of like old tree material. But it's enjoyable, and it's not that expensive. Maybe at least, I mean, it's definitely multiple hundreds of dollars per kilo, but it's much less than some old tree material in other places. We've had some really nice stuff from Bangwei. We've blended some Bangwei in some other stuff. One of our friends, if they're on today, the Hovies, Michelle and Derek, had us custom commission a pressed tongue of wedding cake material, and so we did a 50-50 blend of Jingmai old tree and some big tree, small tree Bangwei, kind of blended in together, and it actually worked out really nice. It takes a little while to get to Bangwei, but we've only been to the village once. Brandon wants to know if I want to use some tea tree wood in my smoker. No, man, that'd be sacrilegious. I wouldn't do that. There'd be this tea trees really just don't grow very fast. So I think there's much better uses. I think like a teapot handle or something like that would be a tea pick handle would be a nicer way to use some old tea tree wood, something like that. Zeoxia, you want to do a test stream later with a different name, morning tea or something? Yeah, I could do that. In fact, I did start changing it up a little bit. I changed some of the tags. I took like morning Maocha and Maocha out of like the Instagram or the YouTube tags just to see if that made a difference. And it's just I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird. Yeah. So Bangwei. One of the other things that was really interesting about Bangwei is so. Again, kind of following along the vein of like smaller villages kind of being a little jealous, envious of the bigger villages getting, like big names and big dollars. They really wanted to play up the tea tourism angle. They really thought that was like the way, the future. A lot of these places just really don't have the infrastructure to bring in like the amount of tourists that would actually like make a difference. And in my opinion, they need to. I mean, if you're trying to be famous for tea, you gotta have good tea. Tea should be your focus. But I think sometimes they kind of like lose sight of the big picture, sort of. So you had some official, like some town mayor or like local governor or whoever it is, and so he makes the decision. He's just like, well, like here's what we're gonna do. It's time for it's time for us to get those fat tea tourism dollars. So we're gonna build, like the region's greatest ever like tea museum. Everyone's gonna love it. We're gonna bring in like tons of tourists just to see this tea museum. And well, there's no place in town to build the tea museum. And he's just like, well, like this old growth garden over here. We don't really need that old growth garden over there. That's a great place for my tea museum. This is going to be like my legacy, building this Bangwei tea museum. And so pays like the owners of the land. We knew it was owned by a couple people. We knew one of the guys that owned it, and he's just like, yeah, we got paid like a couple $100 for that. I mean, it's just like, it's not like they like own the land anyways, it's a commune. And so they grazed it like 400 old growth trees, cut them out, leveled it down, got it all set up, got the structure of the museum in place, and then the governor gets arrested for like corruption or something, and he's in jail for the rest of his life. And no one else finished it because that was like his thing. And so you've got this gorgeous looking building dropped where 400 old growth Bangwei trees used to be, and it's just sitting there just rotting. And it's just the saddest thing. You going through town, I don't know, you see this just monolith building built by this guy, and I don't know, just such a waste. Yeah, Ty, it does seem like a waste. Scobson, would I ever consider doing a 1 kilo daily raw, like a daily driver, a sheng pu'er brick? Yeah, I mean, I'd consider it. It's it generally comes down to probably comes down to cost. It would be, even for like our honey bomb material, which is like 35-ish we sell or something like that. I mean, that's that makes it $150. I mean, are people into a $150 1 kilo brick of tea? I don't know. It seems I mean, I love the idea. I've got nothing against giant bricks of tea. I think they're awesome, but sometimes it just doesn't work to make like an actual like product out of it, if that makes sense. I don't know. Who else wants a $150 mega kilo of sheng pu'er? Maybe everybody does. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a little frustrating. You see that in a lot of places. They'll first thing they do is tea's getting big again, so let's all go out there to the old growth tea garden, which we've ignored for decades, and then just start building homes like right there in it. And then they start building homes, and there's never really any overreaching like structure or planning and things, and so they'll just build whatever wherever, and just largely the way you build things in China is just dump down like tons of cement. You know, so you start off just grazing things flat, just dump tons of cement, and that's the solution to everything. It's just more cement, and so you get these just big, just cement monstrosity towns just laid all over everything. Moon Princess, the moon brick, the princess brick, moon princess brick. That could work. That could work. Moon princess brick could totally work. Nice big fat 1 kilo brick. I love big fatty bricks like that. We've oftentimes we'll take like whatever's left after a pressing, because there's always some left over, right? You know, it's, you know, like dust and broken leaves and things that aren't going to make like a really good cake. You know, you've got a big huge pile of Maocha on the blending table, and they take off like 200 grams. You keep adding more on top of it. Eventually, after the end of that pressing session, everything that's broken and dusty just kind of works its all the way down to the bottom, and it's no point taking that and pressing it into a cake for a customer, because it's just not going to look any good. But we'll just have them just take everything and just press it into one giant, like 1 or 2 kilo brick, like whatever's left. And so I've got a bunch of big giant sheng bricks of our different productions and stuff like that, which is always that's pretty entertaining for me. I like tossing those in storage and keeping them around for a while. Skull Kid, yeah, we sell carved genshui teapots. Generally, it's not something that I would custom commission, because they're pretty pricey, and then there's risk that it's not going to turn out well. But when we're in genshui, I'll look for interesting ones that I think are quality and really well made. We'll buy them and sell them, but it's usually like a one-off, a rare thing. Usually, if I'm there, I can find. If I'm in town, I can usually find in a given year like a handful, like 5 or 10 that I think are really nice, really special, and I'll take those and buy them and sell them. But if I'm not there, it's just really hard to trust buying things remotely, and we can't get there this year, so we probably won't have any of those to sell this year. Sorry about that. Oh, one of the other things about Bangdong, it's really nice people. I actually really enjoyed going there. It's quite a drive out to get there off of like the main road. So after you're in Munghai, we kind of like do like a circle route. So we'll start in, you know, if Yunnan is like a giant clock, right? You got 12 o'clock, you know, like 6 o'clock, you know, 9 and 3 o'clock, all the hours in the day, or all the hours in a 12-hour clock. So if you're looking at Yunnan like a clock, Kunming's like 2:30 sort of, and so we kind of start in Kunming, kind of work our way down. You know, Genshui would be like 3 o'clock, Kunlun would be like 3:30, Pu'er City would be like 4 o'clock, Iwo would be like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock would be like Munghai. So we kind of like work our way down. It's not like a perfect circle or straight lines or anything. Work our way down to Munghai. Spend a lot of time in and around Munghai. Munghai. Keep going keep going clockwise. You get Jingmai would be about like 6 o'clock, and then Bangwei would probably be about like 7 or 7:30 or something like that. You start getting up into Linsang's like 9 o'clock area, and then Bingdao, some of those Bingdao and Shigui and stuff, maybe like 9:30. Bangshan's maybe like 10. You get up towards like Dali, and now you're kind of going back around, something like that. So that's kind of how I kind of think of Yunnan. I kind of think of Yunnan like a clock, and we usually kind of go clockwise. We'll go from village to village to village. So the last time we were there, we just went from Jingmai. We went north into, I forget what the town is. There's a bigger town that's on the main roads, and we stayed there for a night. That was hot. That was just, it's just, that whole area there, once you start getting up into Linsang is just hot and dry, like right on the border of Burma. I mean, kind of basically run up parallel to Burma for most of the time. It's just hot and dry. It's tough when you've been spending time like in Munghai, Munghai's actually, I mean, when it gets like, it can be, you know, like humid and thick and sticky and stuff. But if you're spending time up in the Tea Mountains, you're going up into high altitude, and it's relatively nice. You know, it'll be hot, but I don't know. I just find it really refreshing in the Tea Mountains. But You know, and then you get into Jingmai. Jingmai's pretty humid, but Jingmai's actually pretty nice as well. But then you start getting up into Linsang. Linsang just gets really hot and dry. Torn ham. Have I tried Burmese teas? Yeah, I've had a number of Burmese teas. I think they're really interesting for what they are, but cost-wise is where it starts to get really difficult. It just doesn't really seem to be worth the added cost, especially when you consider it's really hard to actually get into a lot of like the good producing areas. Most of them, you know, at best it's like a motorbike trail to get way to these remote villages, and if not motorbike, you know, you'd have to get in there on horse or mule or something like that. And so the people who, I don't have the time to, you know, spend digging around, you know, Burma for quality material, and you'll get out there and, you know, like, you may have really awesome trees, but the people there might not actually be good at processing it. And so now you're having, you know, like quality material, but it's being like poorly processed, and you got to pay to spend the time for you to get in there. You got to pay to like bring the material out. It can really start to add up. And because they don't have that existing infrastructure, I think it makes Burmese tea, like dollars per gram, look more expensive from a quality perspective than something in Yunnan. So we just focus on Yunnan. But I've had some really interesting, very enjoyable Burmese teas, and it'll be interesting to see where the Burmese tea culture goes in the future. Brendan enjoys the Crimson Lotus Yunnan videos. Have you ever broken down while back in the tea mountains on those tiny, maybe not well maintained roads? All the time. Yeah, I've broken down many times. So when we got there, Kalije, good, not too late to the stream. Yeah, we're talking about back road Yunnan adventures. Things are a little bit easier now than they were when we first started going there. More of the roads are better to more of the places that we go to, so I don't really have to worry about it as much. But yeah, I've had a number of not so great experiences out and about in really remote places. So when we got there, we borrowed Lamu's dad's vehicle, and he's had like just a really old Mitsubishi station wagon, something like that. It's a very small station wagon. It's a space wagon. I don't know if that's a non-Chinese brand or something like that. Good morning, Jared. What's going on? So yes, we've got this tiny green like Mitsubishi space wagon. I get my Chinese driver's license, and we just started going around. So this car's already like 30 years old, and it's not, you know, it's a Japanese brand, and so there's just not a lot of places for it to get worked on when you're really out in the remote areas. The remote areas, like, those people have enough money to buy like a really cheap like Chinese model, and everyone buys like a super cheap Chinese model, and then they can just repair it everywhere. And so now that we've actually bought a new vehicle for our travels over there, we just bought like a fairly large size but cheap low-end Chinese vehicle, so that I know that like it can literally get repaired anywhere we go. But I'm a fairly handy guy, and so I watched far too much of MacGyver and A-Team growing up, and so I kind of got really fascinated with engines and things like that. And so I like to work on things and tinker on things. And I've spent a lot of time trying to like build up a skill set where I can kind of fix anything that's broken wherever I am in the world. Relatively speaking, I've spent a lot of time traveling the U.S. in my truck, and I would work on that off-road. And I've spent a lot of time doing motorcycle adventure touring. I spent months like driving through the Australian outback on a motorcycle and fixing it where I needed to go. So I'm pretty handy about doing stuff. But I've had to fix vehicles in really tricky places. What was it? What did we have? We're going up into Iwu, and I one of my travel rules when I'm out, we're out driving, is I won't drive after night. It's just not worth the risk. So we try to get as much driving done like during the daytime as we possibly can. But we just kind of misjudged how far away Yiwu was, and it's a tough road. And we picked the wrong road to get there. So I'm kind of going the back roads into Yiwu, and Yiwu's really high altitude. And it's just driving and driving and driving and driving and up these roads, and it just wasn't working. The car's just not doing good. It's just sputtering along, and we finally see like some little mechanic on the side of the road like pull over there, and I don't really trust a lot of these like remote area mechanics and stuff, because they'll never tell you. They don't know what they're doing. I don't know, maybe it's like mechanics everywhere. So when I like get out of the car, and I mean, we've got everything in there, like our entire life is in this vehicle. We've been living, it's the first year, we've been living out of it for like weeks at that point in time. Like all the tea that we'd sourced at that point in time was just in bags, like filled in the car. Tell the guy like, hey, like it's looking like this, it's feeling like this, and he's just like, okay. So he grabs this like a little diagnostics computer, like throws it in the car, and he just jumps in the car and drives away. And we're like, wait, I didn't. I thought he was just gonna like rev the engine. I'm like all our cameras are in there, our computer gear, like our like passports, like our money, like literally everything, and all the tea that we bought, and we're just sitting there on the side of the road in the dark, by ourselves now. It's like, are we dumb? Like what are we thinking? Why did we do that? And man, that was and the guy didn't come back for like 45 minutes. He comes back, he's like, oh yeah, well, I think it's like a spark plug or something like that. I'm like, okay, but like he didn't have like the right spark plugs or something. I don't know. And this is like he didn't have the right, like wiring harness and things and stuff. And so he had the right spark plugs, but he didn't have the boots and things. And so we just replaced the spark plugs. It seemed to be fine. But it's closer we got to Yiwu, it just was not doing good. So the next morning I decided I'd try and figure it out myself, lift up the hood and start digging around in there. And what I found is that the boots that attached to the spark plugs weren't like staying seated anymore. So basically it needed new spark plug boots, little part of the wiring harness in there. But you're in the middle of nowhere. I mean, even Yiwu is still nowhere. Nobody in Yiwu is gonna have like replacement parts for a 30-year-old like Japanese station wagon. So I found that the engine would run really good, like if I like held the spark plug boots like into the engine. But you can't really do that very well if you're actually like driving. As soon as I take my hands off it, it wouldn't run anymore. So I took the, so you got the hood lifts up, and you got like the hood latch. Like I removed the hood latch, this big huge piece of metal, and I was able to bend it in between two parts of the engine to lay across the spark plug boots to actually hold the spark plug boots down into place, and then close the engine. And it like worked for like the next month. Like that was my fix that worked for the next month to get us out of there. So we actually made it back to to Kunming before we had to replace that. So that was a little back road fix. Right, I know. Like at least he didn't drive away with like my kid in the car. I was just like the whole time I'm like, man, that was stupid. Like what are we thinking? So. What else happened? We were, what was the name of that? It wasn't Pashashan, was it? No, it was, forget what it was. It was some village that we had spent a long time, like driving, like many hours to get out to it. And, it was a bad road. It was just not a handy road at all. It had been, even like the good roads, the good old roads in China would be like some like cobblestone or something like that. They put down stones and things like that. They will run like big trucks across that daily for weeks, months, and those trucks are way overweight, and they will just destroy like whatever road is there. I was on this one road in Yiwu, so it's like cobblestone, right? But it was cobblestone that looked like a creative like sculpture, right? So it was actually had been rutted so deeply. It actually looked like a zipper because it actually kind of like folded like this. And so I had to drive on like the high parts, you know, like one wheel here, one wheel on this one here, with like, you know, like a gap like this big, like beneath it, where the tires, these big trucks had just like pressed these like cobblestones into the ground. And so like on that thing there, like if I had gotten like high centered on that, it'd be just stuck forever. Brandon, it'd be cool to go to the tea region in China. So much could go wrong for a foreigner who doesn't speak the language. Oh yeah, it's, well, even if you do, even if you do speak the language, I mean, Yunnan's remote. Like, it's really, really remote. If you're familiar with geography in the U.S., I would say it's like getting lost in like the backwoods of Appalachia. It is entirely possible that you could get yourself into a situation in a place with people that just do not have a real modern connection to society, I guess would be the nicest way to put it. There's some, yeah, Jared, we've thought about tours and stuff before. That's a whole big ball of awkwardness. I'll just leave it at that, I guess. There's some really remote areas of Yunnan that are just you would not want to get stuck there, even if you were a local. Yeah, it's like it's like bordering Appalachian, bordering Mexico. It's probably a really apt description of it. So we're coming out really bad roads, like horribly rutted, and I just hear like this horrible noise, like wha-chunk, like coming from the engine. Then, oh man, like this is not good. Like, what is going on? Get out there and look under the car, and we've got like this giant like skid plate. The two front bolts on the skid plate for the engine had popped, and the skid plate was it was the two front ones. So the two front ones had dropped, and which had just dropped it down, and now it's like a bulldozer. Now it's just shoving like rocks and dirt like straight up like into the engine compartment. And I'm like, oh man, like this is not good. Like what are we gonna do about this? And so I could only drive in reverse, and so I had to like kind of back the car up because I couldn't drive forward because it would just start shoving more like rocks and dirt up into the engine. So again, out in the middle of nowhere, like horrible roads, and I'm driving like backwards down this mountain, and I found like a really big ditch. And so I could kind of like maneuver over the ditch, and so the car is like over the ditch, and like because I needed to get beneath it, and so that was my mechanics working space, was like this giant ditch. So I drive the car over this ditch, and I climb underneath it, and I'm just pulling out all these like rocks and dirt, and you know, like one of the old MacGyver tricks, always keep some baling wire with you. So baling wire and zip ties, I was able to reattach the entire skid plate with a baling wire and zip ties, and just get it all back locked up there so that we could just, you know, get back to town. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff. Adelac, hey everybody, just ordered 5 kilos of pu'er with my friends. Nice, man. That's a big pile of, well, it depends on how many friends you got. If you got 500 friends, 5 kilos not gonna last too long, but 5 kilos, nice one. Adelac, next time a push for a Lotus Tea. Not all of us are pu'er maniacs, so you might want to do some Maocha in between. Yeah, no, that's good. It's there's plenty of awesome teas out there. Yeah, I could probably talk all day about breaking down in remote areas. And again, it goes back to my basic rule. It's just like I won't. I mean, there's a part of me that's like the strong, like adventurous type that wants to like find these fun situations and things like that. But it kind of gets taxing over time, especially when you got kids. Dougie Mon, what's going on? Dougie Mon knows. Dougie Mon's a local neighbor. He's a buddy. He's a friend of mine. Paracord and duct tape. Yeah, you can go a long ways with paracord and duct tape. I've always got. I don't know. I like to be prepared. I don't know. I got like a spool of paracord in my pocket. You just never know. Multi-tools, pocket knives. I've got my little man purse I carry with me that's got all my little like nuts and bolts and spare bits of things to help get me out of situations. I don't know. It's just kind of who I am. I kind of like to be prepared in that way, and it really helps when we're in China. One of the other things that we've learned the hard way is never take the back way. These roads there's a lot of roads that'll eventually get you to where you're going, but taking them is can be at significant peril. So here's an example. So the main highway heading down from Kunming into Munghai. It actually goes down all the way to Lao in Mojang. I think it's called the Kunming Mojang Highway, the Kunmo. They call it the Kunmo. So Scobson, you can't carry pocket knives. Man, sorry. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that, man. I apologize. If I couldn't carry a pocket knife, I don't know. What can you carry? Too many side quest NPCs. Yeah, something like that. So we get to this. We're going down. Like this is a giant, like mega freeway, right? Like 4 lanes south, 4 lanes north. I mean, just a giant mega freeway, and it just stops all of a sudden. There's just like a row of cop cars pointing everybody to this exit. I'm like, there's literally nowhere you can go. And they're like, it's closed, the freeway is closed. And I'm like, well, how do you close down like an entire freeway? This is a major infrastructure for Yunnan. So we pull off into the town, and we were talking to them. It's like, well, when is it going to open? They're like, yeah, we don't know. You can, you're gonna have to stay. You're gonna have to stay here, get a hotel, and they're like, or they're like, we wouldn't recommend it, but if you really wanted to, you could take the old highway. The old highway runs parallel to the new highway. Not a problem. So we're sitting there. It's just like, yeah, sure. Like, how hard can it be? We were only like an hour from where we were going, and it's like 4 o'clock. Plenty of light. Like 3 hours of light left. Like not a problem. Still fits my like little window of like don't drive at night. And so what it turned out, it's kind of interesting. I was never able to actually like prove it, but I'm fairly certain like local government was just like, you know what? We kind of need a big cash bump. And we don't get enough people coming into our town anymore. Why don't you send the cops out and just tell them the freeway is closed? Because we watched that we were able to drive parallel to the freeway for a really long time, and there was nothing for miles after that. There was nothing. There was no like major accident. There was nothing. I literally think they just shut down the freeway so that they could like bring in a bunch of like money into the local town. Like it wouldn't surprise me if that would happen. But yeah, so for like the first half an hour, this is great. Like this is gorgeous. Like we should take like the side roads more often, like countryside, like cute little houses, like farmers working, like water buffaloes out on the side, animals and nature. It's like, man, this is so much better than like the real freeway. And there's this point where things start to get like a little bit rougher, and you're still close enough that you could turn around. Or you're like, well, how much further can it be, right? So like you play this game in your head. It's just like, well, we've been driving for 45 minutes now. Like I don't really want to spend 45 minutes to go back to that town and find a place to stay tonight. Let's just keep going. How much further can it be? And then you keep asking yourself that every 10 or 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden, like you're 2 hours into the middle of nowhere and you're driving on rocks. And like you don't even know if it's where you're supposed to be going anymore. And there's no signs, like you don't have like, GPS or cell phone signal. Like this isn't on a map anymore. And you're just like, we should have just stayed in that town. This was dumb. We should have just stayed in that town. What are we thinking? And you just keep driving, and then you come around some corner, and all of a sudden there's like a whole line of like cars and brake lights, and you finally caught up with everybody else that's doing that. And so now but you're just like, where are you? Like I just far away, and like not good roads, like like cliffs and steep mountains and rocks and ruts and bouncing and barely enough room to like pass. And all of a sudden, like here comes like a whole row of like giant mega shipping container trucks are coming up the mountain path, and like you better find a way to get out because they're just gonna come through. And so you're sitting, it's just too sketchy. And then all of a sudden you just get down out of the mountains and there you go. Now you're in Pu'er City and it's like totally fine. But there's too many really stressful situations like that. So yeah, rule number 1, don't drive after dark. Rule number 2, don't take the back road. And we've had a few situations in the last couple of years where they're like, yep, freeway's closed. You can just go take the old freeway. And I'll get on it for like a mile and I'm like, nope. We've done this before. We've learned this lesson. Let's just go back. We're just gonna go back and we're just gonna wait. We'll just wait in that town until whatever time they decide that the freeway is now open. And yeah, we've learned that lesson the hard way. Skovson, yeah, you can carry knives if you have a purpose. Law enforcement decides if it's a good reason. It's yeah, there's Washington State. Well, each state in the U.S. has different rules, and Washington State has a similar type rule. Dougimon knows a little bit more about Washington State rules, but it's something similar. It's just like you can carry it as long as it's not being carried in a menacing manner. But menacing isn't defined, and anybody could say like, I felt menaced and threatened, and then technically now you're in violation of the law because there's no definition of menacing or threatening. Even the fact that like, even if you've got like something like attached to like a clip folder, like in your pocket, somebody like sees it and they're like, yeah, he's menacing me. But in practice, unless you're actually like in like downtown Seattle, granted downtown Seattle doesn't enforce hardly any laws anymore anyways. It's a kind of a nebulous gray area. No, Skovson, I don't love how vague laws can be. I want laws to be very, very, very clear and precisely defined, completely. Collegiate, we're gonna try and help Collegiate pick a tea. Collegiate, give us a list of 5 options you have this morning, and we will vote in chat. Nicola Breezy, hello from Montreal. Love having some Canadians, our northern neighbors, joining us for tea. We're drinking some Bangwei old tree material. This is actually really nice. Drinking this gives me a lot of memories of when I was there. There's just something about the town, the air, and I'm just getting a lot of yun from it. Brandon, my analogy to Appalachia sounds accurate. Upper Peninsula Michigan backroads might be the only other situation I've seen that sounds familiar. Cool stories to share after the fact. Yeah, there are always cool stories to share after the fact. But when you're actually there, it's really stressful. And you know, the first time we went there, first couple years, you know, like we didn't have good GPS. There wasn't good, you know, like cell phone signal coverage. It's almost impossible to find local maps. People just don't like maps in China. We've talked about that before. And so you know, we would be like told like, hey, you know, like the next village, excuse me, you know, like the next village is down that road. It's not that far. You know, it's just that road in some just generic direction. And then we'd go, and then it's dark, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm like, I don't know where we're going, Lamu. And it would be a lot of stress, a lot of unknowns. Now that we've, you know, been in so many of these places so many times, like I know exactly, okay, if I keep going, like this town's going to be right there. But sometimes we'd just be driving and literally in the middle of nowhere. And then you like crest a hill, like all of a sudden, like you're just like in some big town. You're like, oh, good, good, thanks. Like I just need to pull over, find a hotel, let's get some food, need a beer. And then they don't even have any like cold beer. You're like hot and sweaty and get like hot beer. You're greeted with a nice hot bottle of beer. That's great. Xiaxio, Montana just repealed all your knife and gun laws. That's interesting. That will be really interesting. Let's all move to Montana. No, that's not true. Don't move to Montana. I'm teasing Xiaxio. I'm sure you guys want nobody in Montana, except for me. I think about it. I like Montana. I think Montana could be awesome. I think the winters would be a little bit tough for the fam, but I think Montana's beautiful. Love it. Love big, giant, open spaces. Yeah, we think about sometimes about moving someplace different, taking the fam someplace a little less urban, getting a little bit more rural and country. And Montana's just gorgeous. I don't know. I think I'd have to move someplace with mountains. I'm so completely hooked on the Pacific Northwest, Cascade and Olympic Mountains are my playground. I love them. East Europe collision, similar to military stories. Remember how we almost died, guys? Yeah, exactly. It's like, remember that one time? This is funny because Lamu, Lamu for basically most of her life, Lamu's a city girl. She was born in Shangri-La. She spent time as a kid like way up in the mountains in the Himalayas. But then her family wanted her to have educational opportunities, so they moved to downtown Kunming, and so she's basically been a city girl ever since then. I like to get out a little bit more, and I have a little bit more of an adventurous spirit, I suppose. I don't know. She certainly has an adventurous spirit. She married me, but I don't feel stressed being out in the middle of nowhere. Like the dark and the night doesn't scare me. But we've been in some really weird places, and I'll tell you one other story. So we again, like our rule is like don't drive after night, right? So it's starting to get dark. We pull off, we see some sign, like, oh, this village here, like we pull off there, we're going to find a hotel. So we pull off and we get to this one spot and it's just like, there's like a T in the road and like there's some cops standing there and we're like, hey, which way's the hotel? And they're just like, that way. And so they point us, we're like, okay. So we start going down that road and it very quickly turned into just a really bad decision. And it was an under construction road and it was under active construction and it was bad. It was a really bad road and it was just constant stream of construction vehicles going past us the other direction, like a constant stream, like an hour and a half straight of like bumper to bumper, like dump trucks and heavy loaders and just like cement trucks just continuously going and going and going. And we're like, well, man, like I thought we were pulling off like for a town. Like I thought we were pulling off for a town. Like, and we're just like, well, shoot, like he said the hotel was this way. Like how much further can it actually be? And we just kept going and going and going. Like 2 hours later, we get to this crossroads. And there is a house there that is claiming to be a hotel. And Lama looked at it and she's just like, no. Like we're not gonna go here. And it kind of reminds me of what was that was it an Edgar Allan Poe story where like that guy gets drunk and he stays in some random hotel and like the bed like crushes him to death or something like that. That was my impression, that like the people are just gonna murder us in this hotel. It was just like, it would be the same thing. Yeah, backwoods Appalachia, just like something on the side of the road that says hotel. No, we're like, you know what? Let's just keep driving. Like worst case, we could just like pull off to the side of the road and just like sleep there or something. And Llama's like, no, we're gonna keep driving. And so we just keep driving and. It's just it's just like we're just like the whole set in hindsight. We're like, shoot, we didn't tell anybody we were here. Like we were the plan was to like stop, get a hotel, spend the night there, rest up, and drive the rest of the way the next day. And so we actually had to drive all the way around. So now we realize we're kind of taking the shortcut to this. We were actually going to Zhenchui. We're kind of taking the shortcut over to Zhenchui, and we didn't want to do that. That was not the plan at all. The plan was to stay on the major roads, spend a night in that hotel, but we tried to follow the rules, no sleeping after, no driving after night, and all of a sudden now it's like 11:30 at night, and we've not told anybody where we are. Nobody knew that we were going to be taking this road. I mean, literally anything could have happened, and no one would ever have found us. And Lama's like really stressing at this point in time, and she's just like, she's like, we shouldn't be here. This isn't good. Like when you're driving and you literally see nothing, like no lights in any direction. You turn off the lights on the car and it's just like complete black darkness, and you just gotta keep plodding. Like that road hopefully gets to the next town eventually. And it was so hot, air conditioning didn't work. Hot at night, I'm driving with like the window down, and like Lama was just so upset. She's like, don't put the window down. Some guy out there might throw a knife in your face. And I'm like, what? Is that a thing? Are there people hiding in the bushes in Yunnan, like ready to like throw knives in like the face of passing cars? And what's the glass gonna do anyways? It's not like it's like knife-proof glass. You could just break it or something. And then I got broken glass all over me, and so it's like whatever. I'm gonna drive with it down. And so she was not she was not amused with my decision to drive with the window down. She was convinced that I was going to be murdered on the road that night. And yeah, everything's fine. And then you pull around a corner and all of a sudden there's just like some random roadblock, like middle of nowhere road that we haven't seen anybody on for hours and hours and hours, no lights anywhere. And all of a sudden there's just like a car there with like some guy holding like a little red stop sign, and Llama's like, don't stop, just don't do it, do not stop. And so I kind of like slowed down, and then I just floored it. I was like, fuck it, we'll figure it out, and just like raced past. And I was just like, yeah, it's 11:30 at night, middle of nowhere, some guy on the road telling you to stop. It's like nothing official. It's like, no, I'm not gonna do it. And yeah, another one of those situations where horrible road got worse and worse and worse, and then you came over the top. There you go, right there in the town. It's just weird, like this giant mega town, like literally in the middle of nowhere. That was probably one of the most stressful times. That one was would not want to. So yeah, now we don't go off the major freeways. Don't drive after night. That's the that's it. Oh. Brendan, got a favorite warm beer from China to have after a breakdown? A nice green bottle of Tsingtao. There is no good beer in China. I'm sorry, guys. Like I have sampled many beers from China, especially ones that are warm. The best beer from China actually comes from Laos, which says a lot. There's actually some pretty decent beer that's imported from Laos that's sold in China. Lao. Heipi, Lao dark beer from Laos. Pretty nice stuff. I actually enjoy that a lot. If you can find it and it's cold, I don't think any beer tastes good hot. I don't know, but I don't know, maybe I just need to drink more of it. They seem to drink it fine. I can't stand it. All right, what's going on in chat here, guys? Da Hung Pao. You made a list of what he's got. Oh yeah, ooh, Lapsang black tea. You got. I'd go for the Gongting ripe myself. Seems kind of nice. I like a good Gongting ripe. Yeah, Scobson, it was super stressful. But now that we've got kids and stuff, and thankfully we've got like a more reliable car or a newer car. It's a little bit more comfortable. It's not a car that's super capable off-road. Llama's dad's Mitsubishi Space Wagon was relatively decent off-road. It actually had the ability to drop down a couple gears, so it wasn't fully automatic. I could put it into like a super low gear, I'm pretty capable off-road. One of those things where you just kind of got to keep going, just don't stop. I've gotten that car through places that I shouldn't have been able to get that car through, specifically some like ridiculously muddy roads where it's just like thick mud, and you just gotta just hit it and just kind of like coast across the mud. Just keep the gas up, keep the revs high, and just kind of like use the front wheels as like paddles as you're kind of like swimming across like this giant road of mud. Because as soon as you stop, you're just done. You're gonna have to go out and chop some trees to shove them under the tires to get going. Oh yeah, Dougie Chinese beer is horrible. Malt liquor, it's bad. Like I've not had any. And the concept of like a microbrewery is still really weird to them. It's like, why would you want some like people down the street that don't know anything to like make your beer when you could have it from Mega Corp, or not Mega Corp, but like Mega, I guess factory, commune, mega commune beer for the people, beer for the masses. Why would you ever need some local person to do that when you could have glorious China country beer? But there are a few interesting little start-up-y style small microbreweries in some of the bigger towns. Tibet, in Shangri-La, the Shangri-La Beer Company, is that the name of it? They've got some really decent stuff. They've got some interesting barley-based beers. not bad, not bad stuff. But thankfully, where we are in Kunming, since Kunming is a pretty big city, they've got some German markets, and the German markets get stuff imported like straight in from Germany. So I can actually go down to that market and get like a 6-pack of Corona, which is actually one of my preferred beers. If I'm, they actually have I can get Guinness there. So if I can get Guinness, I'm happy. Guinness or Corona, that's what I'd go for. Your East Europe collusion. What is a BTR? What is a BTR 60? I do not know what a BTR 60 is. Let me look that up. Is that like a satellite phone thing or something? We don't really have much of a problem with it anymore, mostly because we just don't ever do that back road thing. But it was hard to learn that first year. Now that we've got kids and stuff, I'm not risking that at all. We'll wake up early in the morning if we've got to drive, but we drive sunshine to sunshine. We plan things out, like very specifically. Oh, but BTR 60, yeah, dude, an armored personnel carrier, Soviet 8-wheeled armored personnel carrier. Yeah, dude, I would love one of those. Absolutely, I would definitely. I'd settle for a Unimog, but that would be, now there's your tea delivery vehicle. There's your tea sourcing vehicle. Yes. BTR 60 armored personnel carrier. I would totally do that. Have like a nice little gung fu, armored gung fu session in the background. Yeah. Brendan, my wife sounds very patient. Mine would have noped out after one trip breakdown. She is, and she's quite adventurous, and she trusts me a lot. And clearly we've been married for a long time, and she's seen my ability to get us out of dangerous situations fairly efficiently. Of course, I'm also the one that got us into the dangerous situations. But hey, it's for business. No, she's she's Tibetan, so she's grown up with a very unique set of experiences. It is not easy to grow up in the Tibetan highlands. It's not easy to grow up in the Himalayas, and so they are a hardened people. Like they just get things done through extreme adversity, just the elements and everything. And so she's yes, she's quite the lady. I am lucky to have her in my life. Absolutely. So no, she's very special. Took me, I didn't get married till I was like 40, so it took me a long time to find the right one. So, but she's definitely worth it. Yeah, Adelac went to a few craft beer pubs in Shanghai. The beers were drinkable, nothing exciting, and all horribly expensive. Yeah, that's pretty much my experience with most craft-ish beers that I've had in China as well. I mean, granted, I'm coming from living in Seattle, where we probably have more microbreweries per capita than nearly anywhere in I don't know, maybe the world. Somebody correct me. I mean, there's more microbreweries in Seattle than you could shake a stick at. They're literally everywhere. Starts in some guy's garage, then he gets like a shop, then all of a sudden he's like, sold his soul to a Bevmo or something. A lot of really amazing, really high quality beers available in Seattle. You can just get whatever you want. You go into some place and like the beer menu is larger than like the food menu. You got your food menu is just like 5 items, and the beer menu is just like written in chalk across like the entire wall. And I kind of like lose track. I like don't even know what to order. There was a small restaurant. Viking-themed restaurant. I thought it was pretty cool. Viking-themed restaurant in Kunming. I think it was just called Valhalla or something like that. And the inside of it was kind of done up like a Viking ship, which I was just totally enamored with it. Really good, really decent food, and it was a microbrewery and pretty decent stuff. I was pleased. Of course, it just completely went out of business like 6 months later because it was just a little too ahead of the time. It just didn't really fit the just didn't really fit with because the locals didn't really get it. They didn't know why they had to pay more for that, and the expat community just wasn't big enough there to fully support it. I mean, shoot, I was doing what I could. We were there like every week. Burgers and beer. I was more than happy. Any more votes? Any more votes for Kalije? I voted for the Gongting Ripe. He's got 2 votes for raw, 1 vote for the Da Hong Pao, 1 vote for the Gongting Ripe. Adelaide, never seen a dark Chinese beer too. There's not as many dark Chinese beers. Like I said, there's the Lao Heipi, the Lao dark beer is pretty decent. Dark beer, it comes out of Lao. In Shangri-La, they've got the Shangri-La Beer Company does some dark beers based on barley. And there's one that's what is the Shangri-La Beer Company? They had a handful of ones. There was one like their top end one I thought was the Shangri-La Highland Craft Brewery Shangri-La Beer. China's first fully licensed craft brewing company, right in Lamu's hometown. Their site. Google doesn't want to let me into their site. Probably thinks it's horrible. They had a handful of some really decent beers. Pages doesn't work, but they've got a cool logo. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, Shangri-La-beer.cn. If you ever get a chance to, their Tibetan Pale Ale was pretty decent. My favorite was their the Black Yak. Black Yak was pretty good. I like a darker beer. Dougie oh yeah, Oregon. Dougie yes, Lamu is nice. Lamu is very nice to me. Oregon, yeah, you're right. Oregon probably does have more. Portland probably does have more per capita. Yes, Goffson, I'm sorry. The Viking themed craft brewery is no longer there. It was in a really cool space as well. There was I find it really hard to find artistic communities in China, but every now and then, like, there was this you'll find something interesting, and Dali has a nice like art, like music type DIY sphere thing going on. But there's this one neighborhood in Kunming, and it's like if I had to choose like where I wanted to live, that would probably be where it was. It's this old like industrial factory space that has been converted into kind of like medium high end like art loft style things, where you've kind of got some cool like loft living spaces, and then some like fancy shops and DIY like maker spaces on the bottom. And so like that's where this restaurant was. It was in this space, and it's a pretty cool space. Like there's like some guy, he's got his like like custom motorcycle shop building like one-off custom Harleys and things, and you've got like some like craft leather shop where like they'll just make whatever you want. It was a really cool space. It was the right space. It was the right place to have it, but yeah, it just didn't work for his business. The guy who runs it was an expat. He's actually still around, but he works at a different restaurant. I don't think he's doing the craft beer thing anymore, sadly. But yeah, I'd love to take you there, but it's gone. But there's like 5 Irish pubs in Kunming, which is I usually end up hanging out there. Some decent stuff. Do you mind if I throw my question again? Sorry, Adelaide, what was the question? Recently started brewing sheng pu with water fresh off the boil instead of putting it in a thermos first. Do you think the difference is big? Not sure if it's police SIBO or actually much better. You think it's better in the thermos first? It's possible. I mean, there's the idea that if you've been boiling the water too long, you may be like pulling the oxygen out of it. That's a certain possibility. Might need time for the water to rest a little bit. I don't know. It's if you think something tastes better, it might actually be. You could try doing some blind taste testings if somebody could set that up for you to try it. But Xiaxio says, statewide, you heard that Montana has the most microbreweries per capita. Yeah, that's because nobody lives in Montana. It's just, yeah, if you've got if you've got 100 microbreweries and one person living there, then I'm teasing, but yeah, I think yeah, you may be right from a per capita perspective. So per people, but I don't think there's a, what's the population of the state of Montana anyways? Let's see, Google that up. State of Montana population. Well, Montana surpassed 1 million people for the first time in 2012. So you got a million people in the state. That's it's nothing to sneeze at. Adelac, you feel it's better if you skip the thermos? Well, then you probably just want it hotter. For me, sheng pu'er tea really likes it hot. It wants it hot. I like sheng pu'er like as hot as possible. Like right there, it says 212. It just got to there, so I'm happy to brew it at or as close to 212 as possible. So as soon as you put something into a thermos, especially if you haven't preheated the thermos, it can significantly drop the temperature. Even the best thermoses won't keep something at actual boiling. So you're automatically, if you preheated the thermos, it's maybe only going to drop by like 10 degrees or something like that. But as soon as you pour it into there, it's like already under 200. And then you sit there, wait and drink it for, like half an hour later. I mean, maybe it's down to like 195. So you keep the water boiling all the time during a session. I actually don't. I don't like the idea that I may be like boiling out the oxygen content. So I mean, if you guys see how I do it here, so I just boiled that right there, and I've turned it off now, so it's not continuing to boil. It's still hot. But when I go to boil it again, I'll actually take a little bit of fresh water and pour it into there. So I'm basically just heating up the portion of the water fresh, kind of how I do it. An insulated kettle would be good. I don't know. It depends. I mean, there's a lot of argument about like what level of heat transfer you want. That's why silver is a really interesting thing, because silver keeps things really hot, but it also pulls the heat off really fast, faster than clay. It's interesting. So you might not actually want something. You might not want the tea to be like mega hot for the entire steeping period in time. There may actually be a portion of it where you're controlling the heat loss. I don't know. It's just there's a lot of argument to be had both ways. Some people argue on both sides of it. So a lot of it's just about trying to find what works well for you, and just kind of going with it, sticking with that. Yeah, speaking of boiling water all the time, that's one of the things that if you guys have taken the time to read Lu Yu's tome on tea, it's got a lot of stuff that isn't exactly useful for brewing in modern times. Including he's like, oh yes, the best tea is actually like in the middle of a river, like 10 feet down. So you gotta like swim out there and pull water out from there and then brew with that. But one of the things he mentions is not overboiling your water. You can kind of I think it's just you just kind of boil out the oxygen content, and it kind of makes the tea a little bit flatter and staler. Adelac might start doing this. Heat a little bit before each steeping, so it's hard. It's so hard to judge these things. Yeah, there's a lot of variations in play. There's so many different things that can actually change the experience. So trying to make things as first of all, make things as repeatable and consistent as you possibly can. Measure your experience based on a very, very, very precisely controlled steps. And then subtly change one of those, so then you can kind of variate it, right? Or you can actually have controlled experimentation. I mean, I come from a software testing background, and you can't just go through and just test everything all at once. You test very, very, very specific, finite things that are controllable. You got A/B testing and stuff like that. So you put up two versions of the website with one small change on each. Let it run for a week, and then check out the data on memory management, or visitor eyeball time, how long they're watching it versus how many times it crashes into this. And so you have very, very, very precise things. You're testing A versus B. If you can get things down like that, if you start changing 8 different things in your brewing setup, what was it actually that made it better? So it's all about but in order to be able to come to that, you have to have a very precise set of precise structure that you work in, and then change very, very tiny things. Your kettle's peeling inside. That's probably not good. What kind of kettle is it? Kalige, question: how much longer can you buy honey bomb until you can buy honey bomb from U.S. stock? I have honey bomb here. It's just I'm just kind of letting it chill. I can try and get it on the site this week. It just depends on timing. It takes a while to set up the site to do inventory stuff from different locations. So I'm sorry if I haven't had a chance to do that. Soon, I hope. Scottson prefers pouring as hot as possible water on top of my leaves. So I would like for the kettle to stay hot so you don't have to reheat. Yeah, that's a good point. And so for example, let's see this one here. What's it at right now? If I click the button again in these last couple minutes, yeah, it only dropped like 10 degrees in the last couple minutes. So it went from 212 to 202. Yeah, Third Eye Boogie VM. Tell me about your peeling kettle. That doesn't sound good. Gonna watch the Seattle stock like a hawk. Well, I usually make like a post or something about that. Really, we've been hoping on getting just a few more things into the Seattle inventory before we started doing that, but we've just lost too many packages. Your kettle looks just like mine. So you've got is this the stag? I forget the name thing, but it's actually peeling. So like the is it because it was supposed to be solid stainless steel, so there shouldn't be anything peeling. What's actually peeling? Take a picture of it and send it to me. Brandon, water is frustrating control. City water is variable. True. Tea kettles can leave taste. True. Hard versus soft water remineralization. True. Never-ending parameters. Yeah, never-ending parameters, and you try and do your best to kind of create like a consistent thing. But then even then, like with like consistent parameters, consistent tea, like the exact same tea you've had tons of times, I can have wildly different taste experiences from one day to the next, and to be honest, like weather could play into it as well. Like ambient temperature, like barometric pressure, like humidity, like all these things can make micro changes to how you taste things. So a lot of it comes down to just doing what you can, and then eventually just kind of like letting the experience be what it is. Jose Hernandez, you're late again. It's all right. We've got about another 15 minutes. We'll brew here a little bit. Nano mini shrooms coming back. No, there are no more nano mini mushrooms. It's just not possible. I should clarify. I did find like 5 more like 50-gram bags. So I think I'm gonna auction them. I think we're going to see what the demand really is for the last five of the mini mushrooms. Maybe sell them all in one big pack. 250 grams of the nano mini mushrooms, and auction it off. See what it goes for. Let's see. Yeah, but no, it's just like nano mini mushrooms was a combination of material over 15-year period, and it's just you're just not getting it. It's just not possible to replicate that. We may try to make some interesting stuff that is similar to it, but nano mini mushrooms was it's gone. Makes me sad. Collegia is waiting on the stimulus check. Gonna get a little stimmy poo. You want me to put up a $1,400 tea on the website? Call it Stimmy Poo. See how many people get that. You have to buy PC parts. RAM. You don't need RAM. You're buying $900 in RAM. You want a lot of RAM. So what does $863.99 get you in RAM these days? I don't even know. I have not bought RAM in a really long time. So yeah, let me know what does $863 in RAM get you? Xioxio probably knows. Xioxio is another PC builder. How many of you guys are PC builders? Need to go deeper into the T-Gen to get the better loot. Yep, Jose will buy it. Nice. I'd feel bad doing that. I joke with Lamu about stuff like that, but it'd be funny. Yeah, that'd probably be what what would well, shoot, what did we how much was that Kunlu Gushu that we sold? That was so expensive. That stuff was like $4 a gram. I don't know. Shoot, that's only $800. I'd have to do a full 357 gram cake. Yeah, that's about it. 357 gram cake of Kunlu Gushu, $4 a gram, $14.28. Round it down. Round it down. Make it a cool 1400. Call it Stimmy Poo. There you go, guys. It's the next big thing. Stimmy Poo. 240 gigabytes of RAM. Everybody's amazed at your RAM. 128 gigs of RAM. Is that what it costs? Man, I got some old sticks of RAM from the 90s. I could probably find enough of them to get you up to 128 gigs, man. Give them to you for free. Yeah, that's cool, man. It'd be nice to get some fat sticks of RAM in there. What are you gonna do? You game? You do 3D modeling? What are you gonna use the PC for? I'm kind of past the phase when I'm into the PC building phase of my life. I did a lot of that stuff back in the day, but now I kind of want something that's just a little bit more stable and reliable, especially when your business depends on it. I don't really need something that's got a lot of high-end computing power and stuff. Although this machine here is ironically, this machine's probably the most powerful in the house, the one that's running the video streaming right now, and it's 8 years old, if that says anything. But it was a pretty beefy machine for 8 years. Let's see what's in this one. It's a space tube. It's one of the Mac Pro 2013 model, kind of like those cool like hematite colored space tubes. A friend gave it to me. 3.7 gigahertz quad core Intel Xeon E5 with 32 gigs of RAM. There you go. That's it. That's what I'm running right now. Nothing too fancy by today's standards, but for an 8-year-old machine, that still does some pretty awesome on the fly video work. It's not too bad, and I got it for free, so I can't complain. Buddy Kevin hooked me up. I used to work with Kevin at the Apple store. I used to work for Apple. Working retail is just a crappy experience all around. But that was in the early 2000s, and I was smart enough to. They offered an employee incentive program to buy Apple stock, so I worked for a couple years at the Apple store, just minimum wage, part time. But yeah, I was able to convert like 20% of my paycheck straight into super cheap Apple stock, which was like $12 then. So that's kind of how we started our business. So I kept that stock, never did anything with it. And then when we started this business, I'm like, man, we're gonna need some money if we're gonna start a tea business. So I sold my Apple stock, and that's kind of how we started Crimson Lotus Tea. Trading pu'erh for PCs, I'll trade pu'erh for anything. Anybody's local that got stuff that I need, got stuff that I want, I will absolutely do tea trading. I'm totally down for a little horse trading. That's what it's all about. Everybody wins that way. In fact, that's my joke. Anytime I'm like trying to like buy something local and somebody tells me how much it is, I'm like, well, you interested in tea? I'll trade you. And every now and then somebody's just like, maybe. And then I can sometimes find something out, work out some deal. Granted, the last tea trade I did was with Mark Moeller. Traded some tea for one of his new teapots and teacup and stuff like that. What do we got? You PM'd me a link on the Discord. Oh, this laptop is running out of battery. I'm gonna have to shut it down. I've got a crappy battery on this laptop anyways. I would hop onto the Discord and check it out. Yeah, I'll check out the link as soon as I should have brought the power adapter over, but I don't have it right here. Yep, I'm totally down for tea trades. Gaming, mainly music making, other stuff, editing. Yeah, it's never a bad idea to get more RAM than you think that you'll need, because when you need it, if you don't have it, then you're kind of screwed. Adalac's got to deal with the bakery next to your tea house you work in. You bring them tea to drink. It's perfect. Like if we had an actual retail space, like I would be making deals with every single business in the area for whatever fun things you could do. My brother is a chiropractor. He lived in Melbourne, Australia, and he would trade chiropractic work for the coffee shop that was at the ground floor of the apartment building that he lived in. So he's kind of had a long-standing agreement. Like he just got whatever coffee and food that he wanted and just gave the staff chiropractic adjustments. So anytime they needed an adjustment, they just go upstairs to his apartment chiropractic studio, and they'd get their adjustment, and they go back down to work, which was pretty cool. So when I got there to visit him, his discount extended to me, and so I thought that was great. So I could just go downstairs and have breakfast and coffee for free on his special chiropractic discount. So I thought that was pretty cool. He always told me that he got the better deal of it anyways, because like half the time they'd just forget to get their like weekly adjustments, and he would never forget to get his morning coffee. So I think long term he made out on that deal. But yeah, if anybody has any fun things to trade, I'm totally down to trade for tea. PM me. Let me know what you got. Lucy Woo, you made it. You made it. And I've got like 2 minutes left. Lucy, what's going on? Lucy's another Seattle Northwest local. Gorgeous day today. But how about that weather yesterday? That was bizarre. Even for Seattle, the weather yesterday was bizarre. Like it went from heavy snow to like gorgeous bright blue skies. Like 15 minutes later, like sleet and hail. 15 minutes later, bright blue skies. 15 minutes later, like light snow. 15 minutes later, bright blue skies. And then the winds came. It was just like this crazy day. And the weather around here can be pretty unpredictable anyways, but I'd never really seen that level of shift. It was something weird pressure-wise was coming through the area. Scoffson, yeah, it does. It sounds like it's a great arrangement. I'm totally down. Totally down for tea trades. Llama not so much. Llama's the one who runs the books. That's my CFO. Excuse me, my accountant. She's the one like, hey, how come you're giving that tea away? But yeah, but look what we got for it. It's just like, it'd be better if we got cash. I'm teasing a little bit, but yeah. Yeah, Dougieman, I came up, woke up this morning, and the car was completely frozen over. Hard to actually open the doors, so got wet enough. Get all wet and then immediately like froze. It was had to scrape the windows this morning. It's something I don't normally have to do. So weird is the weather this weekend. You're right, Lucy. It was just back and forth. Kind of fun to watch it. Gemma was getting really excited to like look outside and just kind of like watch the weather. But then we went to go to the park, and like we're like, hey, well it's sunny now. It's like we can go to the park and put the kids' bikes in there. Then went out and it's just like, nope, now it's just dumping rain. So it's just like almost timed it right. All right, you guys, I am going to cut this off in another minute here. This has been a lot of fun. I don't think Lamu is in the chat right now, Dougie man. I'm sorry. Stop loving my wife. Kidding. Everybody loves Lamu. She's awesome. Yeah, Lamu is with Gary at his little baby gymnastics class, which he is thoroughly enjoying, and apparently he's the only one to enroll in this class. So they kept the class sizes small, but nobody else did. So he gets a lot of like one-on-one gymnastics attention, and he's loving it. So he's basically spent like half of his life in quarantine in our home. So for him to go out and like have like this giant like place to himself, this cute gymnastics teacher, like teaching him stuff. He's loving the attention. He loves it. He shows off. It's so much fun. So much fun watching him. He's always trying to do. It's just it's a lot of fun. Kids in gymnastics classes are just highly entertaining. So Gary's no exception. So. It just happens that it's on Monday mornings, which is my my morning Maocha time. So I haven't had a chance to. I went to the class last week, but I'll probably be doing these because this is it's a good time slot. Awesome. Well, this tea is actually worked out well. It still has a decent amount of stuff going for it. Kind of wish we had something like this to sell on the site, but Morning Maocha is kind of an excuse for me to like dig fun things out of our storage, brew them up, talk about them, tell some stories, interact with you guys, see what's going on. Dug in mind, yeah, hit me up after this. You can give me a call and I'll answer it this time. Sorry, I was just about to get this stream going. So. Guys, I appreciate this. I hope you guys have a great week. We've got Between Two Teapots this Saturday, Between Two Teapots with Chuck and Lori Dawson, which is, if you guys know anything about tea in the Pacific Northwest, you can't exist in the Pacific Northwest and be in the tea community without knowing about the Dawsons. The Dawsons are super active in the tea scene, and they're on the board at the Northwest Tea Festival. They run tons and tons of educational classes, and they have it's strange to say this, but they actually have more tea in their house than I do, which says a lot. They have a lot of tea. They've got a lot of experience with a lot of different types of tea and tea communities. So Saturday afternoon we're going to have tea with the two of them, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So. I do appreciate everybody tuning into the stream. It's always fun to get the chance to interact with people. Hope your day and week starts going, and I guess your day and week is going to go whether you want it to or not. But I hope you guys have a good week, and I hope it's tea filled, and I hope you guys have a lot of fun and get everything done that you want to do. I love you guys, and have a good week.